So I grew up in Westport in a family that was not religiously but culturally Jewish. The type where when my grandmother and grandfather came to visit, my mother took all the ham, the bacon, and stuff like that and shoved it over the neighbor's refrigerator until they went away, so they would think we were keeping kosher or something like that. And the dream was always, of course, that I'd marry a nice Jewish girl. So when I brought Ina back with me, she didn't fit the mold on that. She already had 3 kids, and to my parents, she wasn't a nice Jewish girl, which caused all sorts of problems for us. But I had 2 brothers, and the youngest brother was 9 years younger than I, and I really didn't know, because I was always that much further ahead. When I went away to school, he was still here. And so I really didn't know who he was, but I always liked him because he's much more like me than the brother who was closer in age, who was nothing at all like I am. So when my brother Stephen decided to get married, he met this girl that came from a very, very, very wealthy Southern family, not Jewish. In fact, her father was a billionaire. And my parents, who were very money-oriented, didn't know what to say, because maybe she wasn't a Jewish girl, but they didn't know what the hell to say to this came from a family entirely different than Westport and this society. And they were objecting underneath, but I said to them, if you really make a stink about this, you are going to be the Jew in the back of the church sitting in Kentucky. Because these people, they own Jack Daniels, okay, but then I found out really, first they own the state of Kentucky. It was just, a sideline for them. So my parents, had to toe the line. And my brother decided not only were they going to get married in a little church down south, they moved it up north here to the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, which, is about the biggest indoor cathedral in the country. And the family knew this guy, Dean Morton, who was the head of the Episcopalian Church, extremely well. So he was going to do the ceremony, as well as this freelance rabbi who would marry anybody. And they set up a huppah inside the choir stall of Cathedral St. John the Divine, and that's where the entire wedding was. The rest of the football field in back of us was empty, but the families got to sit looking each other in the eye across the choir stalls at that. So we were getting ready for the wedding, and my brother's, or my future sister-in-law's family had an apartment, a very nice apartment in the Pierre. And they put up some of the rest of us across the street at a very lovely hotel too. And we all went in, and I was given the duty first of getting the glass to go like this at the end of the Jewish ceremony. So here I am on the Upper East Side, and it's Saturday afternoon, and all I can find is Tiffany's, Waterford, all the baccarat. And I keep asking these people, do you have some glass that'll break when you actually step on it? And I was running around, it was getting late. Finally, someone told me, hey, stupid, it's a light bulb. So I went into a hardware store, and by the time I got back to the hotel, the 3 daughters that we had were all dressing in the room that we shared, so I had to be very, very last. I was really, really running late. And I go to dress in my tux, which I've worn a lot because I play a lot of music. And I can't find my tux shirt. But I had a beautiful white shirt that I wore the night before the rehearsal. So I put it on, and I also have this tie. It's sort of my good luck tie that's pheasant feathers. I've worn since I was 21 years old. It was a present to me. And I've worn it everywhere, but my brother forbade it. He said, no, he was really sort of afraid of rocking the boat of this, very proper Southern family. I had to wear the black tie. Okay, so I did that. So I told Stephen before, because I was best man, I said, Stephen, I can't find my tuck shirt. but I'll be there in the black tie. He said, what do you mean you can't find your tuck shirt? I said, well, I don't know where it is. And by this time, I was looking under the bed. I was going around to my parents' room to see if I'd left it there. I asked my father if he brought another shirt. No go. And my brother went ballistic. He said, no way. You are going to wear a tuck shirt. So here it is. It's around 4:30 on a Saturday. And I go downstairs to the hotel concierge. And I said, listen, where can I get a tuck shirt, knowing how hard it was just to get a suit of glass? Well, sir, the only store open right now is Ralph Lauren. It's a couple of blocks away. We can send one of our men there. I said, sure, go ahead. I gave him $200. I said, go get me a shirt. Well, that didn't turn out to be enough. But the guy bought the shirt back anyway. By this time, everybody else had got into the limousines and started across the park to the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. So I go back upstairs. He said, I'll ring you when the shirt comes. And my parents and I stayed back. So I get the call. The shirt's there. I say, great. I run out. I get in the elevator. I get down. And the guy says, oh, sir, we just sent it up on the other elevator. And then it turned into a Marx Brothers comedy, where I'm going up, he's going down. It happened about 2 or 3 times. Finally, I decided to stay put down below. He brings me the shirt, and he says, I'm sorry, $200 wasn't near enough, and I shelled out some more money. So then I looked, and it was getting really, really close to the time of the wedding. So my parents were down there rushing because they're very nervous about this thing. I mean, the last thing they want to do is show up late. And they say, look, we'll take a taxi. Everybody's left in the limos. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll get dressed in the taxi as I go across. So that's what we do. We get in the taxi. I'm sort of half in my tux. And as we're driving across, my parents are in the back, and I'm in the front, taking my clothes off, putting my clothes on. I turned to the driver and I said, bet you never see this. And he said, all the time, sir. But they usually get out as women. So it turned out the shirt was very big in the collar, very short in the cuffs, but what the hell. I mean, I wore it. The wedding went off beautifully. Everything was great. And I figured, all right, I bought this really, really expensive Ralph Lauren shirt. We know how good they are there. I'll just return it at the end. Well, my dear wife, Ina, when she danced with me, as you could tell, she's a little different in height. There was a huge stain right here. So I brought it to the best cleaners in town. I mean, the best cleaners in town. I knew they'd do it, hands down. And they did a beautiful job on taking out the stain on the shirt, and in the process, put my name in indelible ink on the collar. So it wasn't going to go back to Polo Ralph Lauren. So, it didn't fit me. I didn't know what to do with it. So I was at a meeting, a Rotary meeting here in town, with someone, some of you probably know, John Vaccaro, my good friend. And I held this shirt up, and I said, look, I have this shirt. It doesn't fit me. It's X size. Does anybody here want a shirt? And John's sitting right next to me, taps me on the shoulder, and says, hey, that's my size. I'll take that. So I gave it to John. And John told me he wore it a couple of times. He got great use out of it. And it was really wonderful. But then he passed it on to his father-in-law. And his father-in-law was an actor and occasionally appeared in Woody Allen films. And he's no longer here, Saul. He was a great character. But I hear that the very last time that he wore it was in a wedding scene in a Woody Allen film.